Hello everyone. Today we'll learn about important concepts in lasers, primarily being population inversion, metastable state, pumping, what are the components of laser, and concepts of 3-level and 4-level lasing scheme. So let's start. Now, what is meant by population inversion? Population inversion, at thermal equilibrium, the number of atoms are called population in lower energy level E1 is more than the population of atoms at higher energy level E2, or we can say N1 is greater than N2. You see, this is the part A of the figure, that is the equilibrium state. So you see N1 has very high value compared to the higher energy states. So this is the thermal equilibrium state. However, for laser action, it is essential that the vice versa is true, or N2 should be greater than N1. Why is that so? Because if N2 is greater than N1, then only we can have substantial probability for stimulated emission, which is the main phenomenon with which lasing action takes place. So what is population inversion? It is the thermodynamical state in which the number of atoms in higher excited state, say N2, are more than that in the lower state N1. Once population inversion is achieved, stimulated emission can produce a cascade of light. Population inversion is the necessary condition for the operation of laser. So you see this. This is the condition we need. N2 should be far greater than N1, N3 should be far greater than N2, and so on. Now another term you have to remember is, as we did in the derivation of Einstein coefficients relationship, population ratio is the term denoted by N2 by N1, which is equal to e to the power minus E2 minus E1 by KT. Now E2 minus E1 is your energy level spacing, so that is h nu. We go to the next very important concept. Once we know population inversion has to be achieved in order to get substantial stimulated emission. So, but how do we do that? How do we get N2 to be greater than N1? So we need to have something called a pumping mechanism. So pumping is the process by which atoms are raised from lower energy level to the higher energy level, or it is the process by which population inversion is achieved. In this process, it is necessary that atoms must be continuously promoted from lower level to the excited level. There are different methods of pumping. Basically, it is the method of providing energy. Okay, it is the method of providing energy. It is the method of doing or accomplishing the induced absorption. So what are the different methods? First method is called optical pumping. Here a light source of suitable photons is usually used to supply luminous energy. Most often this energy is given in the form of short flashes of light. This type of pumping is used in ruby laser. We'll be doing that shortly. What is the second type of pumping method? That is called electrical discharge method. An electric current flowing through the gas excites the atoms to the excited level from where they drop to the metastable state. So this is the second method. Third method is inelastic collisions between atoms. In this case, pumping by electrical discharge provides the initial excitation, which raises one types of atoms if there are mixture of atoms. Provides the initial excitation, which raises one types of atoms to the excited states. These atoms collide inelastically with another types of atoms and provide them enough energy to excite them to the higher energy level and thus help in population inversion. This type of pumping is used in helium neon laser. This also will be doing. The other two are called direct conversion and chemical reaction pumping methods. Next very important concept is the concept of metastable state. Now, as we know, in general, the excited atom falls to the ground state in approximately 10 to the power minus 8 seconds, or which is also called the excited state lifetime. The key to laser action is the presence of one or more energy levels with lifetime of far more duration, or I should say of the order of milliseconds or more, so that sufficient population inversion has been achieved. We know that already, because population inversion has to be very good, very well accomplished, then we can have a higher probability of stimulated emission. Such long-lived excited states are called metastable states. So where is the position of metastable state? Metastable state lies between the ground state energy level E1 and the excited state energy level E3, closer to the excited state. So this is your metastable state, E2 or EM it can be designated. So that is why you see, if you have two level laser, what do I mean by two level laser? Say we had only E1 and E3. So in this case, there will be lot of loss. What do I mean by loss? There will be a very high probability of spontaneous emission, and then the incoherent photons will be produced and laser will be just useless to us. So we have to induce a third level which has a much higher lifetime of the order of milliseconds, so we can have sufficient population inversion. N2 is greater than N1 again. So now once we know what is a metastable state, we will go to the components of laser. Now what all are the components of laser? Laser consists of what exactly? So laser consists of three main components. The first one is called the pumping system. This is the pumping system or pumping source. Second one, this also has been discussed earlier. So I'll go to the second one. Second point is, second component is called active medium. Now this is the active medium. The active medium means laser material. It may be a solid, liquid or gas. Example, the active medium in helium neon laser is helium neon gas, and in ruby laser it is ruby crystals. Now what exactly active medium is doing? It is supporting the population inversion. It is where the population inversion is taking place. It is where the pumping is taking place. You see here arrow marks on the active medium. Now the third component is optical resonator or cavity. Optical resonator or cavity is when an active material is placed in between two perfectly parallel laser mirrors, out of which one is partially reflecting. The reflected laser light passing through the active medium induces more lasing action in the active material. Such a system of two mirrors M1 and M2 and active material represents an optical cavity or optical resonator. Due to reflections from both the mirrors, optical standing waves are formed in the active material. So you see, one of the mirror is fully reflecting, one of the mirror is partially reflecting. You may ask why? Because ultimately the light has to come out of some place. So as I said earlier also, the laser can be assumed as a black body radiator. So it contains all the radiations within it. So if we have a partially reflecting mirror, then once if we get sufficient amount of coherent photons available to us, say the power of 25 milliwatt is achieved, say I want 25 milliwatt power. So if I find that the power is achieved, so the partially reflecting mirror now allows me to pass the light to the output. That is where you see the light. So these are the three very important components of lasers. So let us go for the next concept, which is to understand what are 3 and 4 level lasers. Laser action is highly dependent on the pumping scheme and the number of excited atoms ready for stimulated emission. The simplest method of pumping is two-level pumping scheme, but it is not suitable due to the high rate of spontaneous emission. This statement you can understand from the relation of Einstein coefficients A21 and B21, where we found A21 is proportional to B21 times nu cube, or I can also say that it is the energy spacing, h nu whole cube by h square. So as we see, we keep increasing the energy level spacing, then the spontaneous emission probability increases drastically. Okay, so that is why two-level pumping scheme is a very lossy phenomenon. It is not possible to achieve good stimulated emission in that case. So that is why we induce a metastable state. Now, in order to achieve suitable population inversion for laser action, three-level pumping scheme is used. In this scheme, excited atoms ready for stimulated emission have more lifetime needed for desired stimulated emission. So you see the diagram here, three-level pumping scheme. So what we do is we provide excitation energy from E1 to E3, that is called the absorption band here. So from E3 to E2, they fall undergoing spontaneous emission or a non-radiative transition. It is a lossy phenomena. So there are incoherent photons available in this transition between E3 and E2. Now from E2 to E1, this is where stimulated emission is induced, or this is where we get the stimulated emission or we get coherent photons at the output. This is the metastable state E2. So this is about understanding or the concept of three-level laser. Next we'll go for the four-level laser, four-level pumping scheme. Now the excitation or the pump energy elevates atoms to a short-lived uppermost energy level E4, from where the atoms drop spontaneously to the metastable energy level E3. An impetus of energy h nu equal to E3 minus E2 can initiate a chain of stimulated emissions, which results in the laser transition from E3 to E2. The atoms reaching at the energy level E2 lose the rest of their excess energy by radiative or non-radiative transitions and finally fall to the ground state. So you see here in the four-level pumping scheme, atoms are pumped from E1 to E4, and immediately the atom falls down from E4 to E3, undergoing spontaneous emission. So these are the incoherent photons. Now E3 to E2 is where stimulated emission occurs and you get coherent photons. Once this transition is over, we have the laser action, laser transition with us. Now E2 falls down on its own. From E2 to E1, atoms fall down on their own. So this is all about concept of four-level pumping scheme. Thank you.